The S22 Ultra was hands down one of my favorite Android devices of 2022. I mean, this phone had it all. It's such a beautifully crafted Galaxy device with an ageless design that could potentially go down as one of the best design phones of all time. I'm based in Canada, so by default I had the Snapdragon variant of the S22 Ultra, so the performance was top notch, no complaints in that department. To me, the S22 Ultra was the complete package. But the S22 Ultra was released in early 2022, over 10 months ago. I mean, time definitely flies. So we're now in 2023 and a lot of changes are upon us with the release of the S23 Ultra. How's it going, everyone? My name is RJ, and in this video I'll be giving you guys my honest thoughts on whether or not upgrading to the S23 Ultra in 2023 is a waste of money or not. Especially now since the S22 is in for a drastic price cut. Now, after watching this video, if you do want to reserve your spot for the upcoming S23 series, then make sure you do use the link in the description below because you will get up to $100 in Samsung credit just for reserving your spot early. So do not miss out on that offer if you are in the market for the upcoming S23 variants. The S23 Ultra is going to be a flagship full of surprises. It's set to release on February the 8th along with the regular S23 and the S23 Plus. From leaked images and renders, we know that the S23 will look very similar to the S22 Ultra, with minor tweaks and updates to the overall design. It'll have a boxed off design similar to that of the Note series, and of course it will include the infamous S Pen. We're expected to see a slightly curved display, which in my opinion is the wrong way to go. I'll always prefer a display that's flat over a curved display just for functionality purposes. Although I will admit that a curved display does look more aesthetically pleasing. The S23 Ultra will feature an aluminum frame with Gorilla Glass Victus plus an IP68 water and dust resistant rating. But let me know what your thoughts are on the design in the comments below. Essentially, Samsung is recycling the S22 Ultra's design, but I know a lot of you guys love the S21 Ultra's design. So let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are on Samsung recycling last year's design once again. Color wise, we'll be seeing the return of my favorite color, Phantom Black, along with Cotton Flower, Botanic Green, as well as Misty Lilac. There are also likely to be some Samsung exclusive colors, so keep an eye out for that on Samsung's website. Now, moving on to the display, the S23 Ultra will feature a 6.8-inch AMOLED display with Quad HD Plus resolution, along with a 120Hz refresh rate display. The S23 Ultra will be the only phone out of the S23 series to feature LTPO technology, which allows the refresh rate to go all the way down to 1 Hz when the screen is stagnant or inactive. For example, if you are consuming content on your device, then the refresh rate will go all the way down to 1 Hz, just to preserve battery life. Now, remember when the iPhone 14 Pro was released? All of the talk was about how bright the display can get. The iPhone 14 Pro can go up to a peak brightness of 2000 nits, making this phone have the brightest display out of any smartphone. Well, Samsung took that personally.
It became personal with me.
It's believed that the S23 Ultra will feature a display brighter than the iPhone 14 Pro Max is capable of. To me, this makes perfect sense because Samsung is the gatekeepers of OLED displays and they don't want to be caught slacking. A big turnoff with the S22 series for me last year was a lack of consistency. We saw Snapdragon variants of the S22 series in North America, and in Europe we saw the Exynos variant. And that came with massive complaints about performance. With an iPhone, no matter what country you're based in, you'll get consistent performance across the board thanks to their Bionic chipset. In the same way, all I want is consistency across the board for Samsung. I want someone living across the world in Europe to experience the same performance I did with the S22 Ultra. And that will only be made possible once we do get a consistent chipset across the board. And it seems like Samsung got the message because we're going to be getting a consistent chipset across the board this year. This year, the S23 devices will be equipped with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset, which is the flagship chipset of 2023. However, here's where it gets interesting. The S23 Ultra will be one of the first phones we'll see that will get a custom version of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset. It'll be called the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 mobile platform for Galaxy. It's definitely a mouthful, but this is set to have a higher clock speed up to 3.36 GHz rather than 3.2 GHz found on the regular S23 series. Now, this combined with 12 GB of RAM could make this one of the fastest Android phones we have ever seen. But that still remains to be seen, so make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel because when I do pick up that phone, you know I will be dropping a review in the first week. If you're in the market for S22 Ultra cases, then you're definitely going to want to pick up a case from Casetify. And don't worry, I got you guys today with a 15% discount just for watching this video. These are S22 Ultra impact cases, and I love them for their customizability, protectivity, and durability. You can personalize these cases however wherever you like, with your name or a unique monogram. These cases provide up to 6.6 feet of drop protection, they're compatible with wireless charging, and they're made up of 65% recycled and plant-based materials. My favorite feature is that they do come with an antimicrobial coating called Defensify, which eliminates 99% of bacteria on the outer surface of your case. So head on over to casetify.com/rjtech and a 15% discount will automatically be applied upon checkout. And thanks to Casetify for sponsoring this video. Storage-wise, it seems like the S23 Ultra will start at 256 gigabytes and go all the way up to 1 terabyte. I'm not sure why anybody would need 1 terabyte of storage on a smartphone, but that's really up to the consumer and the individual. The biggest change we're set to see on the S23 Ultra is definitely the cameras. More specifically, a 200 megapixel main sensor will be introduced on this flagship device. 200 megapixels. Now, to put that in perspective, a normal smartphone screen is around 3 to 4 megapixels. A 4K TV is around 8 megapixels. So if we do some quick math, the S23 Ultra will have a primary camera that's 25 times more pixel dense than a 4K TV. Now, of course, we all know that megapixels isn't everything. Pixels themselves are smaller, so they do gather less light, and we could potentially see more significant shutter lag than what we're accustomed to on the S22 Ultra. But there's hope. With the new Snapdragon chipset, we're also getting a new ISP, which stands for Image Signal Processor, which should help improve images as well as video. The ultra-wide lens is going to be a 12 megapixel lens, and we're also going to get 2 zoom cameras. One zoom camera will give you 3 times optical zoom, as well as a periscope zoom camera, which will give you up to 10 times optical zoom and up to 100 times digital zoom, which is useful for those incredible shots of the moon. Now, on the video front, we're also going to be seeing a slight improvement in that department. Samsung smartphones have been able to shoot in 8K 24 FPS for quite some time now, but this year the S23 Ultra can shoot in 8K 30 FPS. We're no longer limited to just 24 frames, meaning we won't be seeing much of a crop on 8K footage. The S23 Ultra will also have a new feature called Director's View, which allows you to switch between different cameras during video recording. When it comes to the battery, this is where things get a bit concerning. The S22 Ultra came with a 5000 mAh battery, and to put it politely, I wasn't getting great screen on times. Using nothing but a 5G network, I was only able to get around 5.5 hours of screen on time on a good given day. The S23 Ultra will also be coming with a 5000 mAh battery, but I do have hope that we'll be seeing more improved screen on times, thanks to the new, more efficient Snapdragon chipset. And this year, I feel like we'll all be seeing consistent screen on times across the board, since all variants of the S23 series will come with a Snapdragon processor. Just like last year, a charger will not be included in the box. However, the S23 Ultra will support 45 watts fast charging as well as 15 watts wireless charging. Useful features such as reverse wireless charging will still exist on the S23 Ultra. We also seem to have Wi-Fi 6E across the board as well as Bluetooth 5.3 and ultra-wideband support on the S23 Ultra. I expected a significant price drop this year on the S23 Ultra, especially since Samsung is basically recycling an already existing design, so they would have potentially saved a lot of money on the R&D, but it seems like the S23 Ultra will start at $1,200 US, very similar to the price we saw last year with the S22 Ultra. The S23 Ultra will also boast a series of new and useful features. Here's some that I'm excited for. First, the S23 series will have a new feature called Samsung Daily, which aggregates news and information from various sources into one place. This means that you can stay informed and up to date without having to navigate through multiple apps. Sounds pretty useful to me. Next, the S23 series will have much improved accessibility features, including support for voice commands and improved voice-to-text capabilities. I'm constantly using voice-to-text on my Pixel 7 Pro, so I'm curious to test and try out the improved voice-to-text on the S23 Ultra. Lastly, the S23 series will also have a new feature called Samsung Free, which allows users to access a variety of apps and services without having to install them. This is a great feature for those who are short on storage space or want to try out a new app before committing to downloading them. Now, the question is, should you buy the S23 Ultra given all of this new information you've just learned? Well, in my opinion, the S23 Ultra is a pretty big internal upgrade, especially given all consumers will now be getting the Snapdragon variant. And the ISOCELL HP 200 megapixel camera seems like a significant upgrade, but that still remains to be seen in testing. And in my opinion, we'll probably be seeing an hour to an hour and a half more of better screen on time with the S23 Ultra when you compare it to the S22 Ultra. and the price will remain relatively the same. In my opinion, I do feel like it's a significant internal upgrade that's worth the justification of purchase. But for those of you who are on a budget and you don't feel like these upgrades are worth it, then by all means go get the S22 Ultra. Trust me, you will not be disappointed, but make sure you do get the Snapdragon variant. Also, make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel and turn on that bell notification icon, as I will be picking up the S23 Ultra on the first day of launch. I'll be dropping my first impressions video followed by a 72-hour review in the first week, so make sure you do stay tuned for that. Make sure you don't forget to check out the link in the description below, because you will get up to $100 in Samsung credit just for reserving your spot for the S23 series. It's definitely worth it in my opinion. And thanks to Casetify for sponsoring this video.